WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for podcast program. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and we have another phenomenal show for you this evening. You know, I'm all about sharing. So tonight we're going to be meeting and talking with Wandra Cain. She is the principal designer and CEO of WCA Interiors, LLC, premier interior design and co-founder of a new organization focused on empowering women and entrepreneurs in Easton, Pennsylvania. Her expertise includes residential and commercial interior designs. She places her clients first and understands that the key to a great design starts with listening. Wandra's entrepreneurial experience spans 2 decades and includes business ownership in cosmetology, commercial and residential property management. And prior to Easton, Wandra has operated businesses in Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee, allowing her to connect and collaborate with an amazing geographical community of entrepreneurs. She is a native of Tennessee. Wandra credits her abilities to her faith and her Southern upbringing. And so, without further ado, I would like to welcome to my platform this wonderful young lady, and her name is Miss Wandra Cain.
Thank you, Kimberly, so much for having me. I'm so honored to be on here with you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. I'm excited about having you on. We met last year, so it's just been, time to get you on board. You know, we've been trying to get this put together for a while, so
yes.
Definitely glad to have you on.
Thank you. I'm honored to be with you.
Well, it's my pleasure. And so as we get started, why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you got going on?
Well, you just told everything about me, but right now I'm so happy to say, I'm currently, I have for design, I'm working on a project, trying to pull together a project for a client who's doing a remodel for a commercial ballroom. So we're pulling together some more parts from it, and we're coming together and pulling that together. And also I'm getting ready to do, the she sheds and around here, everybody do the women's she sheds. So we're working on pulling the she sheds together.
Right.
That's what we got going on currently. And, of course, we got the Entrepreneur Network we started going on.
Mm-hmm. But I like to hear more about the she sheds in a little bit, but let's just backtrack just a little bit. You're not originally from Easton, Pennsylvania. So talk a little bit about your journey and how you got to Easton.
Okay. Well, currently I'm the CEO of WCA Interiors, and how I got to Easton, Pennsylvania, I married my wonderful husband. We've been married for 18 years, and we married, and from when I married him, we've been in 5 different states. And that's really how I got into the interior design. We got married and we moved to Alabama. And we started, when we got married, we moved to that, we lived there for 3 years. And then from there, we went from Alabama to Texas. And then from Houston, Texas to Amarillo, Texas. And from Amarillo, Texas to St. Louis. And from the last 12 years, we've been here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Yes, so you have had quite the journey.
Yeah. And the blessing was I got to meet some great people. I got to collaborate with some builders, which would help me to become the designer I am today. And they liked my insight. We were building homes. So that made me grow into being a designer, being and work with different designers all over the world.
And I know you are very passionate about it, but before you got into designing, I mean, you've probably had the passion in the back of you for many years, but you have had many other ownerships, and that was cosmetology as well as commercial and residential property management. But talk about the cosmetology, because I think that's really amazing how you go from one extreme to the next. So I know there was that passion, but what inspired you to get out of the cosmetology business and then jump into what you're doing currently?
Okay, so how it started, I always had, as a little girl, I had that creative spirit, that entrepreneur thing. I watched my great-grandmother and my elders around me do entrepreneur things. But, we have that passion in us to do a certain thing. So when I went off to college, I didn't see many people doing interior design. And I always knew I knew how to do hair. So I said, hey, I worked in corporate America, and from sitting in corporate America, it wasn't creative for me. So one day I just kept believing, I'm going to go back to school for something. I want to be my own boss. So I decided to go to school for cosmetology. I knew how to do that. That was in me. So I went back to school at night and I got my license to be a cosmetology. And then one day I just decided, I believe with faith, I would going to quit that job. So I worked for a while doing cosmetology part-time. And then once I got to that point where I see I could make just as much money doing hair as I was sitting at that corporate job, one day I just wrote a letter out and said, I'm resigning. I'm stepping out on faith and I'm going to go open a cosmetology salon. And I did. And from that experience, and that's that's how it happened for me. I didn't have a big business plan or nothing. I just believed in that gift one day. And from that gift of opening up that salon, I was able to, I just didn't have that passion for myself, but I wanted to empower other people who had a dream. And I got a building big enough that I ended up having like 5 or 6 other ladies with me. And they had their own business within that salon. So we all had our own business and it just grew. And that helped me to become the entrepreneur that I am today, helping empower other women to start their business. And from that, we went on further. And like I said, I was able to keep that. And when I left, the business was still there. They still had their business inside it. And that just grew. But my passion for it, like I said, I can't say it was always just to be a cosmetologist, but it was just in me to be an entrepreneur, to create jobs. And I always loved serving. So the people that I met, I was serving them. I was empowering them. I was making these women feel good that came to the salon. So that made me feel good. And I was encouraging them. And I was always behind my chair, just listening to them. Whoever came to me, it was just like my therapy time with them. They got to come to me. I listened to them. I encouraged them. Whatever their field was in, we all just helped each other. And that's how I grew. And so, and within, like I said, the interior design just came along later because I saw that, I'm pretty good at this. This is another way I could go forward, and then I had the opportunity to teach cosmetology as an instructor. So I got to teach at a school and I empowered those ladies. You can be a great hairstylist. You can go out and open your own shop. So it's always been about empowering somebody else to follow that dream in you because, sometimes we as women and even men, we don't believe that we can make it. But that was just me saying, hey, I'm a little girl from Tennessee. I had this dream and it worked for me. It worked for you. So I believe and I empower somebody else to do it as well.
Well, you obviously are doing a phenomenal job. And the thing that I love is that you, even though you may have fear, you took the opportunity to take what you've learned from one business and then here you went into something completely different. I mean, there's nothing alike, but the only thing I can say that stands out for me is that as a cosmetologist and doing hair, you're creative, right?
You're creative, yes.
So, here it is, being that you're in this other business, you're into interior design, you have to be creative, right?
You have to be creative.
Right. So you're seeing the lens through your eyes of what you see, what's in front of you. Yeah. And so it's funny how they're two different entities, but at the same time, they do come together in a way because you were able to take that creativity and make it your own.
Yes. And I think another thing they both combine with is listening, just that somebody come into your salon. I used to be funny. How you see a picture in a magazine and they come in, oh, I want my hair just like that. And I'll be like, look, I'm not a magician, but you still try to create that style for them. So when I go into a person's home, I learn to listen to their desires and what they want. And I try to create that sanctuary for them. That same kind of way. You got to listen to what that person wants and try to make them feel comfortable. You got to make sure it's functionable. So they all kind of, and that's a creative skill. And I always had that gift if I can walk into a space. And it's just like, it's a gift I had inside me. I think I was just born with the gift to see how a room could come together. I could see walls being knocked out. I could see, how I could change furniture around or pulling clothes.
Right.
And I think that kind of get with it, so that kind of went on to, I think the interior design was the passion in me, but there wasn't anybody around me that looked like me who was an interior designer. I went with something that I knew that was easy. That was a hairstylist, but that interior design was in me all along to the desire to create.
Right. And I like what you just said, that a lot of times when we go into our businesses, we don't always see people who look like us. And not to say that they don't exist, but, a lot of times we're put in situations, we're in communities where you don't always have that mentor that you want to have. But I think a lot of times we also realize and learn that mentorship comes in all ways. It's not always about how you look. It's not always about the color. It's not always about whether you're with another woman or man. It's really, truly looking at the desires of, and then making sure that everything that you're getting is from what you see, right?
Yes.
And I like how you just never gave up, and you really started to constantly move forward. And we all know that coming in businesses, it can be very fearful, and and nobody, if you don't have those butterflies, in your stomach when you're going into business, then something's wrong. I always say you need to recheck yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I like how you have grown in your own right, and you're doing some of the things. And the one thing that I noticed that when I was going through and reviewing your pamphlet, because I still had the pamphlet that you gave me.
Yes.
You thought I forgot, didn't you? Let me see and get this right.
You forgot, and I just got called me.
Yes. I still had it. And the thing that I love that you put on the very front of your pamphlet, and I'm going to read it for word, it says, "A house is much more than a mere shelter. Yes. It should lift us up emotionally and spiritually." Yes. And you hit that right on the head. I think about every time I walk into my home that it's just peaceful. Yes. It's my own domain. It's that opportunity to just let it all out, just be me. I come in, I put the grungy clothes on, and I just,
you just
run around looking crazy.
And I think that's, after being out in the world all day, you want to come home to a place that's warm, that's your space. There's no clutter all over the place, like you could get through the door and you're like, wow, this is my place where I can revive, I can rejuvenate and just be who I want to be. So I just think that's what we all need, a place where we can just get away to, that really our own unique space.
You're right. But the other thing that comes in mind, and I know when I got the chance to meet you last year in Easton, and the thing that I loved was how you designed the office that you had. You let people know when you walk through that door and that office, this is what you're going to get. Everything just stood out. Every room that you helped create in that building and on that particular floor, I just thought it was amazing, because also the one thing it told me was, yes, you were creative. The other thing it also told me was that when you deal with me, look, this is not cheap, okay? You're going to pay my worth. I'm letting you know my worth. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of times we find ourselves lowering our expectations just to get the business, right? Yes. And we all have done that. And at the end of the day, it really does not help you, because people then take that for granted, and then they say, well, you only charged this last time. Well, no, this is who we are. This is what I am. So I love that when you walk through that door, that you're getting $1 million here. This is not the kind of stuff that you just put together and say, well, here you go.
And that's what I take real honor in, that knowing that I'm going to go, if you hire me, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find the best with your budget. But, you have to realize it's going to cost, but I'm not going to say, if you got $10,000 and you said, Wandra, I really want this. I'm going to work and make sure I find you the best things to go in there. And I believe in making it your own unique style, because, trends come and everybody want to do what somebody else wants. But I learned if say, for instance, Kimberly, you say, oh, Wandra, I want this. And I'd be like, well, as a designer, this is the trend now. But that's not really what you want. So when I leave, you'd be like, well, this is what my designer wanted. This is really not what I want. So that's why I try to listen to that client and say, if this is what you want polka dot walls, I'm going to make this the most gorgeous polka dot walls you ever seen. Because that's what you want. It's not it's not my house. It's your house. So I'm there to enhance and bring you out of your comfort zone and say, let's try this chair. Let's think. But the thing is always making it your own unique style. And that's what I like about each one of those offices. It's each one of those ladies' own unique brand, their style. But you're going to know that Wandra helped you with it, because I enhanced it and took it a little higher than what you would think you would get for what you're looking for.
Right. And I could see that, when I walked into each one of the offices, I could see that, there's Miss WC right there. And Miss Wandra Cain her signature was all the way across. And that's the thing that stood out to me, is because I knew that was you. And I even told you, it's like, look, you need to get on down to DC, because you get my office needs some love. Okay. Love.
I am ready to go. And that's another thing I'm thankful for. I say I serve Pennsylvania, but blessed to be able to serve Pennsylvania and beyond. Last year, I got to one of my friends. She had the desire to, she wanted, her house was almost paid for. And she said, Wandra, we really want to do stuff to our house. And so I went down and I looked at her home and I said, and I went through and I saw things that we could do to the house to transform it. And they was like, we don't think we can do it. I said, just trust me. So we end up where the deck used to be, it became a nice full kitchen. Her chef kitchen, because she loves to cook. We took the deck and switched it to another side of the house. We took the family room that had a low ceiling. The attic space was just empty space. So we raised the ceiling up. And they was like, we didn't see this. So that's why it's good to have a designer. You know, sometimes people, I can't afford a designer. But if you really, it's a good thing to have, because a designer, or the right designer, will show you things that you couldn't even imagine, you know. Because sometimes, you know, I know in my area, sometimes it's one of the things that's hard for me is sometimes people don't want to hire a designer. They just want to go straight to the contractor or the builder. And sometimes you need that designer to be there to show you some things, because builders are builders. And I've had builders tell me, I'm a builder. I am not a designer. So sometimes you need that interior designer to be that person in between to show you a vision that, you know, that'll make it easier. And then the builder, that's been a blessing for me. They're like, wow, okay, yeah, I work with you because I bring something to the table that's helping their business.
Yeah, and you're right. I agree with that. You know, that it's always good to have somebody else who can see things differently. You know, like I said, it's one thing to have an idea, but it's completely different to put that vision that you have into reality and make it actually come out the way that you see it in your head, right? And that's with any type of business. It's amazing how we all have our ideas, but then at the end of the day, it's once you take that idea and put it to pen to paper, and then take that from pen to paper and make it a reality. Are you really, is it really going in the direction that you believed it was going to go into? Because I know when I decided to revamp my business, it started out at one thing, and I was like, wait a minute, it is nothing that it was that my thought process was going to be 3 years ago when I decided to revamp what I had from 10 years prior. So, you know, it's just one of those things to be able to have the person from the outside looking in to open up your desires, you know, and get you to where you need to be. But let me ask you a couple other questions. So talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges. Now, we all know businesses have challenges, and being in your particular business, I know the one thing you talked a little bit about earlier was the fact that you didn't see people who looked like you in this business. So how did you overcome some of
that? I'll say my faith. I just trust God. It's been my husband tell you, it's been days I'll be like, I don't know, this does not work for me. But it's just something inside of me that says, keep going, trust. And I learned to just be my authentic self. I go in and I meet clients and I'll tell them I'm going to work with them. And, you know, sometimes people, they want people that they're used to seeing that look like them. And, and I hadn't been looked like, but I just keep going. In the area, like I said, in the area, the challenges is, and you know, a lot of people, they think they're designers themselves, so they don't need you. So you're really trying to sell yourself all the time, but you have to just trust in your gifts and your talent, and have not give up on what you have to have passion. You know, you have to be like, this is what I desire to do. I remember when I decided to even go out as an interior designer on my own, and someone told me, well, I don't think this is a good time. This is not good for you. And I'll go back onto that foundation when I was working at that corporate job at the desk, and people said, well, I don't think you should do that. And I told myself, if I always listen to people telling me I couldn't do stuff, I wouldn't be working there. So I try to say, you know what, God, I'm trusting you. And I always go back when I was a salon owner. I remember being in the salon, and there was days I would walk in and I would have maybe 2 people on the book for the whole week. And I would pray. And I'm just being real authentic here. I would say, God, you said you would supply all my needs. And I just trusted God, and I believe, and I would show up for work. You know, as an entrepreneur, you have to show up and work when you don't want to show up. When you sick,
that's right.
When you hurt, that's your business. You got to be present. You got to go out and work. You can't be like, if you're an entrepreneur and you think, I'm just going to start a business, I'm going to work 9 to 5. I'm here to tell you, you're not going to succeed. You got to work more than
that's right.
24/7 you know, it really is. And you really have to know that. It's not just this your thing, and you got to work hard at it, and you got to not give up and believe in it.
Right, because as a business person, there is, you know, you can't believe in the fact that every paycheck's going to be the same. Those days are over. When you decide to make that reality and make that step, you're no longer just that. I can go in here, just get my 8 hours done and get out of here so I get my paycheck. And you're right, being in business is literally 24/7 sometimes. I mean, because your mind is consistently thinking, you're always wondering about your next steps. What can you improve, or do I just leave things alone? And like I said, consistency is the key. And that's with anything in life, but being that you're in business for yourself, you realize that those responsibilities you had prior to working as an employee, those responsibilities do not change because you're in business, right?
You may have a client this week, and you may like, oh, I made $5,000. Next month, nobody's calling you. You're like, okay.
Exactly.
But you just know, so you got to learn how to budget your money. You can't, you got to, all those things you have to just realize these are the things you're going to have to learn as a business. You're the owner. You're the person in charge. So you have to just take those challenges and really work hard and just keep going. And it takes time. Some businesses take a while. It just, you can't, some people are blessed overnight success. Well, I can't say I have overnight success yet. One day, but I'm going.
Well,
it ain't that easy for me.
But in reality, we are successes. And like I always tell people, how we define our success is what we decide on our own. We're always so used to dealing with the conformity and somebody telling you, oh, well, you got to be in business 5 years or 10 years in order to be a successful business. The reality is that, like you said, what you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. Yes, it does take time. And that's just because that is the way business runs. Like you said, you're building a rapport with people. You want people, they have to trust who you are and they want to see your work. Yes. It all is a part of the process. And so, you are successful at what you're doing and you haven't given up. And so to me, that is the most important success, is that you're continuing striving every day to make your business what it is. And people are looking at you in a whole different light, and that's the beauty about it. Yes. So I do have some more questions because I want to learn more about this brand new organization called Empowering Women and Entrepreneurs. So tell the listeners and my viewers, what are you doing with this?
Well, I had this desire, and I know we have, and it didn't come from the red tabletop, but this was I wanted to create a table because I was looking for a network of people who wanted to connect, communicate, and collaborate. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we want to do it all by ourselves. And I believe if you can find somebody to collaborate with, it can help you. Even if it's just someone that you can sit down and say, hey, let's share. Tell me, how did you do as an interior designer? Because I could say myself, moving in this area, I was wanting interior designers to sit down and just tell me, what can I do to make it? So I just kept wanting it. And so one day I said, I just want to create this. And I believe there's other people out there like me, because I remember when I started out in the field of cosmetology, Travis Dawson, it was a male. He spoke to me. I just watched him. He was my hairstylist, and I would watch him. He had a hair salon. And from that hair salon, he opened a beauty supply store. And from the beauty supply store, he went back to school, and then he became a real estate agent. And then he started building homes. So I watched him, and I was like, well, and so every time I would go to him, I would ask him questions. So he was like my mentor. And he said, Wandra, you can do this. So he was the one who told me. I had a beauty salon for like 4 years. I was renting. And I remember one day he said to me, are you planning on staying in this field? And I said, yeah. He said, why don't you buy a building? And as a woman, I owned a house already. So he talked to me and he encouraged me to buy a piece of property. So he was like a mentor of watching me. So I always think about those people who was there to show me tips and tell me things. So I believe in empowering other people, that just let's collaborate. How can we help each other? So that's what I'm trying to create. I want people to come together and to help each other and just share, how did you make it? Let's not be so secretive. Let's help each other get there. We all can get there and be successful. So I'm pulling this table together, this entrepreneur group, where we all come together, males and females, and let's just sit down. Let's help each other. Let's give each other a hand up and just mentor each other. And so, I would say another thing, it's so important to have a mentor. There's another organization that I'm working with, co-founder quietly behind the scenes, but it's 30 to Give. And for 30 days, you could it's an app. And for 30 days, you find a mentor. You could be a mentor or you can be a mentee. And you go on here and you can find somebody that'll mentor you. Or you can be a mentor to somebody. We're not asking for a long time because, people don't want to give all their time. But for 30 days, you're giving back, empowering somebody else, sharing, giving them tips. So I just think that's an awesome thing. And those are the two things I'm working on right now that I think will empower somebody else.
And you're absolutely right. I love the idea. And, being a business, having that mentorship is absolutely the very important piece. And I always tell people it's not about having just one mentor. A lot of times you may have to have several, depending on what it is that you may need help with or assistance or guidance on. And then on top of that, I love the fact that, that you made the comment about connection and collaboration. Everything that I believe in through my platform here on WSBI is about sharing resources.
Yes.
And that's the reason why I have these shows, is that each one of the men and women who come on this show have something unique to provide and share as a resource, because we don't all have the answers, and we may have the answers into our own expertise in our own field. And even though we're not recreating anything that's new as far as the field may be, but it's about how you deliver it, how you present it, the value that you bring to it, the content that you bring to it. That's what makes you unique, and that's what makes you stand out. So your programs I really like, but the one I can't wait to hear more as you continue to grow the 30 days, that program there, because that right there sounds really phenomenal, because it's amazing what you can do in 30 days, right?
Yes. I'm very excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I just think it's such a great thing. And it's not just, it's a global app. Global. So somebody could be in India and they could be your mentor. And you don't have to know who that person is, but you empower them back into them. Because we sometimes have a stereotype of, I want somebody to look just like me to mentor me. And like you said in the beginning, this person could be in a wheelchair in his home and he can be empowering you. He can give you all these tips, all this knowledge in his head. So it's so many different things with this app that I think it's going to be such a great thing. And like I said, for 30 days, you can be a mentor to somebody, or for 30 days, somebody can mentor you. And like you said, we believe in this thing. You need somebody above you to mentor, pour into you, you pulling somebody behind you, and somebody at that same level with you. And it really empowers you. But you giving back. It's all about giving back, helping somebody else.
Exactly. And that's going to be a phenomenal app when it's out. Definitely keep me posted on this, because that is going to be an important feature, for, like I said, for your business, but for everybody, to be able to take that opportunity to give back. And like I said, the good thing I like about it is that we're not looking at, the person, like you said, looks like this, or, I don't want to learn anything from them. They can't tell me anything. It's amazing how judgmental we can all become when it comes to worrying about how a person looks versus worrying about what is it that they can bring to the table, right? And and it kind of reminds me of that music program that they have come on TV where the chairs turn. What's the name of that show? What's the name? You know what I'm talking about, right? But I love the concept.
Yes, I love it.
It's the same concept, right? Because it's like all you hear is that voice. You don't. The judges have no idea who that individual is until all of a sudden they turn around and they're like, "Wow," And we're finally getting back into the real world of reality and allowing people to be who they are and accepting them for who they are and their gifts, versus worrying about the way they look, and or is their hair long enough, or are they too big? Small. I mean, it's all these things are coming back to the real world of real singing. So your application that you're working on behind the scenes with the co-partner is going to be a phenomenal thing to provide to our community. So I'm excited to hear more about that later on down the road. But before you go, I got one other question, actually a couple more. I want to ask you, first of all, if you had one major piece of advice to give anyone who's decided to come in, wants to come into business, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to find a mentor because I think if you find a mentor, somebody that you can sit down with, you need somebody to encourage you. Just find you a mentor, somebody to listen to, somebody to hold you accountable. That's a good thing a mentor could be for you. They'll encourage you and they'll lead you. Some things we all have all these ideas, but just to have somebody to listen to and kind of direct us in the right way, and just to have somebody to feed off, it really helps you. So I would say find you a mentor. The next thing I would say, stay committed. If you're an entrepreneur, stay committed to it. Keep your passion and just believe in it. Because there's going to be days when you want to just give up, but just believe in your dreams. Believe in what you're doing. Don't give up. That would be my advice.
All right. Well, I love that. So, but before you go, do you have any other events coming up that you want to share?
We're with the networking group right now. I've been hosting every month, the third Saturday of every month, the Entrepreneurial Networking Group, and we're trying to keep it going so we can get people involved. I just want to, for right now, we just come in, you network, we have a speaker. So March 16th, we will have someone from the Chamber of Congress going to come in, and they're going to give us some tips of, why you should join the chambers and other things, and we'll network. So that's what we have coming up. And I'm also part of a women networking group in our building where we go in and we empower and connect women too. So we have that going on the first Monday of every month. And also, like I said, the 30 to Give app, you can go out and check that out. We're really, really, really excited about it, and we want as many people to join and come on board. So excited about that. And if you need a designer, I'm always willing to travel. I'm here. Contact me. I'm your designer, your builder, and you're looking for a great designer to work with. I could be your best partner ever. If you have a space, and I always say, don't think that, oh, she's just a designer. It don't matter if you have a small space. I work with a small space. No matter if it's big, I'm willing to work with that client to make their home their sanctuary.
Absolutely. All right. And could you tell the listeners where they can reach you?
You can reach me at Wandra at WCInteriorDesign.com. That is my email address. Or you can find me on my website, www.WCInteriorDesign. Or you can reach me by phone, 610-393-0757, which is my cell number.
All righty. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some time with me, and I will be looking forward to seeing you this summer.
That's good. I'm so excited. So for you all who don't know, Miss Kimberly is going to come up, and she's going to be one of our speakers for our entrepreneur group, and we're so excited. And she's also going to talk to us about writing books. So that's one of my goals, is to write a book, and also for my interior design business, as far as my story of my journey as an entrepreneur. So I'm so excited.
It's going to be a wonderful time. I'm looking forward to coming back to Easton, Pennsylvania. I love you guys. So absolutely really excited about spending some time with you all. But again, like I said, thank you for coming on this evening as my special guest. It has been such a pleasure. And for everyone else, make sure, like she said, to reach out to Miss Wandra Cain. She has a phenomenal designer, interior designer, as well as she has a million other things going on. But like she said, you can go to www.WCIinteriordesign.com to learn more about her, as well as she's also on Facebook and for others. If you need more information from either one of us, you can reach out to us. So again, thank you very much. Ms. Wandra, we'll be talking soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. And for everyone else, just want to take real quickly and talk a few minutes again about our special guest, Ms. Wandra Cain. Like I said, she is the principal designer of and CEO of WCA Interiors, LLC. She was such a pleasure having on my show this evening. I do want to real quickly talk a little bit here about, before I chime off, about my next upcoming event, which is going to be back in Atlanta. I will be back at the Madu Bookstore on March the 17th. Doing something a little bit different beyond just doing a book signing. I'll be doing a lecture, and I'll be talking a little bit about what do you do going beyond domestic violence and abuse? How do you live? So I'm excited about having that opportunity to be back at the Madu Bookstore on March the 17th, which is on a Sunday evening from 2:30 to 5:30. Is a special event. The Madu Bookstore is going to be closing the store down just for this event in the afternoon. So please, if you're in the Atlanta area, come on out and join us. Get an autographed book as well, and come and meet me and come and listen to what it means to go beyond domestic violence, abuse, and how you're supposed to live. But until next time, I will be seeing you all again soon, which will be next Thursday evening. And of course, I have another phenomenal show coming to you. It is going to be the Lady K and Mr. T show. So I'm real excited about having my boy back on with me, Mr. Terry Scott. So until then, until next time, we will see you soon. Good evening.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.